There are billions of animals on Earth that humans raise for food. Cows, chickens, sheep, goats, pigs, fish. Animals that eat grass, grain, leaves, bugs, or food scraps. And then there are the animals you almost never see on a menu. Wolves, lions, eagles, tigers, sharks. Try to imagine walking into a normal restaurant and ordering a wolf burger. Not a weird survival documentary, not some illegal black market story. Just a regular meal. Fries on the side. Extra sauce. It sounds ridiculous. But why? A cow is made of meat. A lion is made of meat. Both have muscle. Both have fat. Both are animals. So why did one become a global industry while the other became a symbol on flags, sports teams, and warning signs? The strange part is that humans can eat predator meat. People have eaten bear, alligator, snake, large predatory fish. In extreme conditions, people have eaten almost any animal that was available. So predators are not impossible to eat. They are just almost never the food people choose first. And that is because biology, economics, danger, and culture all push humans toward the same conclusion. Eat the animal closer to the grass. Leave the animal at the top alone. Let's start with the reason that matters before anything else. The math. Every food chain is basically a shrinking staircase. Plants capture energy from the sun. Herbivores eat the plants. Predators eat the herbivores. Then bigger predators may eat smaller predators. But at every step, most of the energy disappears. It gets used up keeping the animal alive. Running, breathing, growing, staying warm, escaping, hunting, fighting, digesting. By the time energy reaches the top of the food chain, there is not much left. Imagine a huge field full of grass. That grass can support a group of deer. Those deer might support a few wolves, but the wolves cannot support anything above them for long. That is why there are never thousands of wolves wandering around for every deer. There cannot be. The system would collapse. Now imagine trying to farm predators for meat. To raise one lion, you would need a constant supply of animals for that lion to eat, and those animals would need their own food. So you are not simply raising a lion, you are raising an entire hidden food chain underneath the lion. You would need land to grow feed. Feed for prey animals. Prey animals for the predator. Then, finally, one predator for the dinner table. It is a farm inside a farm inside a farm. A cow can eat grass. A chicken can eat grain and insects. But a tiger does not look at a pile of corn and say, perfect. That difference changes everything. Predator meat is not just expensive because predators are rare. Predators are rare because they are expensive for nature itself to maintain. But even if you had unlimited land, unlimited money, and unlimited prey animals, there is another problem. The higher an animal sits in the food chain, the more it can collect from everything below it, not just calories. Pollution, too. A tiny fish might absorb a tiny amount of mercury from water. Then a larger fish eats many tiny fish. Then an even larger fish eats those fish. Then a shark eats hundreds of larger fish over its lifetime. The shark is not creating mercury. It is collecting the mercury that was already moving through the ecosystem. A little bit here, a little bit there, over years and years. That is why large predatory fish often come with more warnings than smaller fish. They are the final stop in a long biological delivery system. And mercury is not the only thing that can move upward. Pesticides, industrial chemicals, heavy metals, anything that stays in bodies instead of breaking down quickly can become more concentrated as one animal eats another. It is like a predator inherits every mistake made lower down the food chain. And sometimes, the danger is hiding in a place most people would never expect. The liver. Liver is where many animals store nutrients. Usually that makes liver valuable. But in some predators, especially certain Arctic animals, liver can contain extreme amounts of vitamin A, enough to make a person violently ill. That is a weird thing to think about. A nutrient can become dangerous simply because it is too concentrated. The animal did not become poisonous on purpose. It just spent its whole life collecting and storing more than a human body can safely handle. Then there is the problem of raising predators in the first place. A cow does not need much convincing to stand in a field. A sheep does not need a security team. A chicken is not trying to tear through the fence because it thinks the delivery driver looks edible. Predators are harder to manage because they are built for a completely different lifestyle. They need more territory. They may fight each other. They may attack people. They may not tolerate crowding. They often reproduce more slowly than animals humans have bred for meat, and their diets are much more expensive. Imagine a farmer trying to raise 100 adult wolves. Where do they sleep? How do you move them? How do you stop them from fighting? How do you keep them from escaping? How do you feed them without spending more on meat than you could ever earn by selling them? Even if predator meat tasted incredible, the business would still be a nightmare. But taste is another issue. Domesticated food animals have been selected for thousands of years. Humans bred them to grow faster, to stay calmer around people, to produce more meat, milk, eggs, or wool, to live in groups, to fit inside a food system. Predators were never bred for that. Most were selected by nature to chase, bite, stalk, ambush, defend territory, and survive in the wild. That does not automatically make their meat bad, but it does mean their bodies were never optimized for becoming cheap, tender, predictable supermarket food. Then comes the part that makes wild predator meat especially risky: disease. Predators often eat animals that are weak, injured, sick, or already dead. That is useful for ecosystems. Predators can remove vulnerable animals, and scavengers can clear carcasses. But it also means they may be exposed to parasites and infections moving through prey populations. When humans eat wild carnivores or omnivores, they have to be extremely careful. Bear meat, for example, can carry parasites if it is not properly prepared. The same goes for many wild animals that eat other animals. That does not mean all predator meat is dangerous. It means the consequences of getting it wrong can be much worse than people expect. And that brings us to the obvious objection. What about bears? What about alligators? What about sharks? What about people who have eaten lion, wolf, snake, or crocodile? Yes, those things exist. There are places where bear is traditional food. There are regions where alligator is sold legally. There are communities that eat predatory fish regularly. And in a survival situation, humans have always been practical. If you are starving in the wilderness, you do not reject food because it is not ideal. You eat what keeps you alive. But that is exactly the point. Predator meat is usually not the first choice. It is the special case, the local tradition, the wild game meal, the emergency option, the novelty, the expensive restaurant stunt. It never became the normal, reliable foundation of everyday food. And then after biology and economics had already pushed predators off the menu, culture finished the job. Predators are not just animals. They are the animals humans notice. They are large, dangerous, fast, intelligent, and hard to control. So humans turned them into stories. The lion became the king of beasts. The eagle became power, freedom, and empire. The wolf became danger, loyalty, wilderness, and fear. The bear became strength. The tiger became royalty and mystery. You do not usually build a temple around a chicken. You do not put a goat on your shield because you want to scare an invading army. But predators became gods, guardians, rivals, ancestors, and monsters. And once an animal becomes sacred or symbolic, eating it every Tuesday starts to feel strange. So why do we eat cows but not wolves? Not because wolves are impossible to eat. Not because predators are made of different meat, and not because every predator is toxic. We avoid making predators into staple food because everything about them makes them a bad deal. They cost too much energy. They need too much food. They can collect contaminants. They can bring more food safety concerns. They are harder to breed, harder to contain, harder to farm. And after thousands of years, humans gave them another role, not food. Meaning, the cow became dinner, the wolf became legend, and nature decided which one made more sense long before humans ever wrote down a menu.